Welcome back, style hunters. It is time for another dive into Midjourney's SREF codes. Before we get into the styles, there has been a lot happening in the AI space lately since I took a peek. OpenAI just put the brakes on their in-development Astra model because it apparently doesn't meet new security standards, following reports that it accidentally hacked some other companies. I wonder if this is more like an ad campaign to generate as much hype around the upcoming model. It seems that it's becoming a new normality that new models are hacking other companies during security tests. And of course, everyone wants to get their hands on a model that's capable of hacking other companies, because that implies it's so much better and smarter than what else is out there. Speaking of massive models, Alibaba just made their 2.4 trillion parameter Qwen 3.8 Max widely accessible. It seems to place just behind Anthropic's models on the leaderboards, and mostly concentrates on text and coding. But the kinds of uses for AI that I really admire are things like DeepMind's recent hurricane breakthrough with their open-source WeatherNext model. It's something to not just grab as much money as possible, but actually help out with things that are difficult to predict or analyze with conventional methods. On the completely opposite end of the usefulness spectrum, Google recently introduced and then quickly suspended an AI image generation feature powered by Nano Banana 2 inside Google Earth, because users were immediately generating realistic scenes of destruction. Why on earth would someone want to generate images within Google Earth in the first place? Meanwhile, in the video generation world, ByteDance has released Seedance 2.5, and I tried to take it for a spin for this video. The Seedance 2.5 test did not turn out as well as I would have expected. I just generated one clip in the beginning of the video, and that ate up all my credits. So I continued with my usual means of animating my avatar. Back to Midjourney. For this video, I've switched to version 8.2 to explore SREF Codes 3200 to 3399. Finding favorites was hard this time. I'm not sure if it's 8.2 or just the codes, but stuck to the format. I tested all 200 codes with random word prompts, and the top 50 made the final cut for this video. The other 150 styles, plus the prompts, are in a PDF on my Patreon. A massive thank you to everyone supporting the channel. Setup stays the same, 916, Seed 777-HD is on. Let's get into the styles. Crisp, flat shapes and saturated colors mimic traditional Japanese woodblock printing. Stippled textures and striking high-contrast backgrounds deliver a vibrant, retrographic pop art aesthetic. Radiant neon flora pierces through absolute darkness, contrasting sharply with deep sapphire leaves. These 3D rendered botanicals pulse with an ethereal bioluminescence, creating a striking, futuristic atmosphere. Delicate, chaotic ink linework and expressive splatters merge with soft watercolor washes. Striking, vibrant reds pop against creamy, muted backgrounds to create a beautifully surreal atmosphere. Hyper-realistic digital landscapes blend crisp natural lighting with surreal, dreamlike elements. Vibrant azure skies, lush greens, and striking yellow accents create a vivid, magical atmosphere. Striking digital illustrations isolate subjects against pure white backgrounds. Crisp, intricate linework merges with realistic textures, blending monochromatic high fashion with macabre, dark fantasy elegance. Glossy metallic surfaces merge with surreal organic forms in a nostalgic homage to 1970s Japanese pulp sci-fi. Bold red typography slices through saturated, airbrushed skies. Crisp white borders frame these charming, die-cut sticker designs. Heavy black linework wraps around smooth digital shading in a warm, earthy palette of caramel and cream. Neon gradients bleed into stark black silhouettes, creating a vintage screen-printed aesthetic. Heavy grain and airbrush textures perfectly capture the psychedelic nostalgia of an 80s graphic tee. Frantic, gestural ink lines weave together in stark black and white, carving out macabre, dark fantasy worlds. The sketchy, intricate cross-hatching evokes classic Gothic illustrations. Sculptural, thick, impasto brushstrokes build dramatic texture across fabrics, contrasting beautifully with softly blended realistic faces. Rich, earthy tones and striking shadows evoke classic romantic portraiture. Crisp ink linework and smooth shading define these digital illustrations. A chic palette of cream, stark black, and burnt orange delivers a surreal diesel punk edge. Deep, moody teals clash with intensely glowing crimson in these otherworldly landscapes. The cinematic infrared aesthetic creates a surreal, dreamlike atmosphere wrapped in ethereal mist. Expressive, rough ink lines dance across a parchment-toned canvas, layered with quick washes of sepia and ochre. Dynamic hatching breathes gritty, rustic life into these illustrations. Rich, coloured pencil strokes sweep across rough paper, contrasting fiery oranges against deep, shadowy purples. These bold, saturated hues transform realistic portraiture into intensely expressive art. Intricate vintage engravings blend botanical science with surrealism. Deep crimson reds and dark sepia inks pop strikingly against aged cream backgrounds, creating a beautifully macabre aesthetic. Intricate, hyper-realistic textures blend with cinematic lighting to forge an uncanny, photorealistic reality. Muted earth tones and metallic accents ground bizarre subjects in gritty authenticity. Drenched in neon magenta and electric purple, these hyperglossy 3D renders fuse sharp specular highlights with retro-futuristic graphic overlays to create a striking, edgy, cyberpunk aesthetic. Cinematic lighting washes over hyper-realistic, leathery textures, resembling practical movie prosthetics. Muted olive greens and bone-white tones amplify the unsettling, biomechanical atmosphere of these surreal forms. Bold ink lines and intricate cross-hatching build a melancholic, storybook atmosphere. Muted grey washes settle on textured parchment, perfectly capturing a whimsical, dark fantasy aesthetic. Bold black silhouettes and vibrant red accents pop against a stark mustard yellow background. Stripped down vector shapes and flat colour blocking create a striking, minimalist impact. Intricate black ink swirls and bold graphic patterns frame flawlessly airbrushed porcelain skin. The stark monochrome palette contrasts sharply against explosive bursts of vibrant magenta. Drenched in golden hour light, these visuals channel vintage 35mm cinema. Heavy film grain, warm amber tones and soft halation create an intimate, beautifully hazy atmosphere. Lush, hyper-tactile 3D renders transform organic textures into surreal, sculpted masterpieces. Bold coral pinks and vibrant greens pop against solid backgrounds, creating a playful, edible aesthetic. Radiant tropical pastels blend effortlessly through smooth, vector-like gradients. Clean, flowing edges and glossy finishes transform botanical forms into lush, dreamlike visions of vibrant colour. Sweeping, violent strokes of neon magenta and crimson tear across a stark white canvas. Thick, dry brush textures weave chaotic webs, blending raw, kinetic energy with visceral abstraction. Sculptural layers of thick impasto build a highly tactile surface. Bold palette knife strokes weave mint greens, blush pinks, and deep teals into expressive, vibrant compositions. Bathed in warm, dramatic lighting, these cinematic 3D renders highlight hyper-realistic textures like fuzzy fabrics and weathered skin. Deep terracotta tones create an eerie, folklore-inspired atmosphere. Frantic brushstrokes and raw graffiti scribbles collide in a vibrant explosion of neon pinks. Heavy paint drips and fragmented collage forge a rebellious, neo-expressionist urban energy. Intricate black ink etchings sprawl across distressed, sepia-toned parchment. Heavy cross-hatching and crackled textures evoke the mysterious feel of ancient manuscripts and forgotten Renaissance cartography. Luminous black and white photography bathes subjects in an ethereal, high-key glow. Soft focus and silvery gradients create a dreamy, airy atmosphere with striking clarity. Bold, chaotic brushstrokes carve out desolate worlds in a gritty, monochromatic aesthetic. Washes of sepia, deep black, and parchment cream create a haunting, heavily textured atmosphere. Immerse yourself in hyper-saturated visionary art. Luminous neon colors, intricate fractal patterns, and fluid, swirling energies combine to create a deeply mystical and psychedelic aesthetic. Nostalgic, painterly textures and weathered paper edges define these vintage pulp illustrations. Deep, cosmic teals contrast beautifully with radiant, warm golds, evoking classic retro-futuristic adventures. Striking monochromatic illustrations merge crisp digital ink with heavy dramatic shadows. Deep blacks and brilliant whites collide, forging an epic, ethereal atmosphere rooted in surreal manga art. Intense crimson LEDs pierce through deep cinematic shadows. Long exposures and dynamic light painting create a surreal, dystopian atmosphere, merging raw technology with haunting silhouettes. Intricate black linework, reminiscent of antique woodcuts, dances across distressed parchment. Earthy terracotta, deep teal and ochre breathe life into mystical, vintage, celestial illustrations. Weathered by time, these visuals evoke forgotten tintype photographs. Heavy scratches, dust, and chemical burns frame ethereal amber glows that pierce through deep, murky charcoal shadows. Bold ink linework carves out striking features against deep shadows. Vibrant, high-contrast colours blend with crisp cell shading and glossy highlights for an edgy, glamorous comic aesthetic. Intricate beadwork and heavy textures define these digital portraits. Deep blacks contrast with ethereal pinks and purples, creating a melancholic, gothic fantasy atmosphere, rich in dark romance. Drenched in toxic neon green and crushed blacks, heavy film grain meets stark silhouettes. Graphic vertical lines slice through the frame, creating gritty, retro-futuristic cyberpunk poster art. Luminous fiber-optic threads weave together in a pitch-black void, creating ethereal forms radiating intense neon blue and violet light in a stunning, futuristic 3D render. Cinematic lighting illuminates hyper-realistic skin textures and vibrant hair. A striking teal and orange palette creates deep contrast, giving these intimate editorial portraits a raw, captivating intensity. Intricate ink linework and dense hatching build surreal organic forms. Vivid purples, teals, and warm oranges clash in a retro sci-fi, psychedelic comic book aesthetic. Luminous digital illustrations bring surreal cosmic environments to life. Rich, painterly textures blend seamlessly with glowing lighting, bathing everything in fiery oranges and brilliant yellows. Erratic black ink lines map out fluid watercolor washes. Cool, dreamy blues and purples pool organically, punctuated by vibrant bursts of fiery coral and orange. Striking black inkwork and stark shadows define a gritty, graphic novel aesthetic. Vivid bursts of orange clash against moody teals, creating a tense, neo-noir atmosphere. Bold, comic-style ink lines wrap around highly exaggerated, expressive characters. Splashes of vibrant pink and magenta pop beautifully, brought to life with energetic, cel-shaded digital colouring. Sweeping, dynamic brushstrokes merge traditional East Asian ink aesthetics with thick, impasto-like textures. Rich indigos and opulent golds intertwine to create an epic, mythic atmosphere. Majestic oil brushstrokes evoke the grandeur of classical romanticism. Luminous skies and rich earth tones blend masterfully, creating breathtaking, atmospheric scenes filled with timeless wonder. Fragmented mosaic tiles collide with fluid, stained glass textures in a striking display of contrast. Deep, cobalt blues clash against fiery oranges, blending rigid geometry with organic chaos. And that wraps up our look at this batch of 50 styles from the $3,233.99 range. Even though this specific set was a bit tougher to sift through with the switch to version 8.2, there are still some genuinely fascinating aesthetics hiding in here if you take the time to experiment. If you want to play around with the other 150 codes from this batch, remember you can find the full prompt PDF over on my Patreon. Thank you so much for watching and exploring these along with me. Take your time testing out these codes. I hope you enjoy them, and I will see you in the next one.